Hi, my name is Lily. I'm interested in sustainability and how we can live differently to lower our carbon footprints. For this series, I looked at the way that we live in our homes, apartments, and even dorms. I wrote down all the questions I had, did some research, and came up with some answers. I've broken it down into short episodes on kitchens, bathrooms, living rooms and bedrooms, laundry, and even one on apartments and dorm dwellers. Thanks, and happy watching. Kitchens are where we cook, store, and dispose of food. They're central to our homes and lives, but they consume a lot of resources and can produce a lot of waste. In this series on kitchens, we'll break down cooking, dishwashing, water usage, composting and recycling, and consumption habits. The way that we cook and store food consumes a lot of energy. The U.S. Department of Energy estimates that cooking takes up between 4 and 5% of total energy used in a home, which doesn't include refrigeration, hot water heating, and dishwashing. All of these things added up makes up to 15% of energy used in an American home. There's a video on our website that you can check out about induction stoves versus gas stoves, but here are some quick points. When you use a gas stove, 70% of the energy escapes and heats up the room, making it more likely that you'll use a fan or turn on your AC, which takes up more energy. On the other hand, induction stoves transfer 90% of the heat to the cooking vessel, so it's much more efficient. On top of being less efficient, gas stoves also cause indoor air pollution and are the leading cause of asthma among kids. In the case of ovens, electric takes the cake too. Gas ovens may be quicker at heating the oven up at first, but gravity causes the hot air to rise, leading to inconsistent cooking. Convection electric ovens, on the other hand, use a fan and exhaust system to move the hot air around evenly. Now let's talk refrigerators. A fridge makes up about 10% of your total energy bill. Here are some tips and tricks to make your fridge more efficient. 1. Clean the coils underneath at least once a year. This can improve efficiency by up to 30%. Just make sure you unplug your fridge before. 2. Set your fridge to 37 degrees Fahrenheit and your freezer to 0 degrees. Setting them below this makes your fridge work harder. 3. Make sure your fridge has a few inches of space between it and the walls around it, and don't pack food too tightly on the shelves. This helps your fridge maintain good air circulation. And 4th, check your seals. With time, fridge seals can loosen or experience wear and tear. Stick a dollar bill between the door and the door seal. If the dollar moves easily, it's time to replace your seals, which can help keep the cool air inside. 10% of total water in a home is used in the kitchen. There are several things you can do to reduce your water usage here. Dishwashers use half the water it takes to hand wash dishes, around 6 gallons per load. Meanwhile, hand washing a similar amount of dishes can take anywhere from 8 to 20 gallons of water, so use the washer and only run it when it's full. If you don't have a dishwasher, scrape food scraps into the garbage or compost and soak your dirty dishes for a few minutes to soften the food, and then scrub them before rinsing. Instead of rinsing as you go, rinse all the dishes at the end. Make sure your faucet has a water-saving tap aerator installed so that you use less water while keeping good water pressure. And turn your taps off tightly. Fixing leaky faucets will save you money and as much as 8 to 53 gallons of water per day. Close to 8% of greenhouse gas emissions come from food waste. Composting and recycling are things that you can take on in your home to reduce your carbon footprint. It can be confusing to remember what you can and can't compost and recycle, so here are some rules of thumb. Composting is a natural way of recycling. It reduces the amount of waste we produce, helps mitigate climate change, and improves soil health. There are 3 categories to pay attention to in regards to composting: greens, browns, and stuff you shouldn't really compost on your own. Greens are rich in nitrogen, and they're normally wet. They're things like food scraps, grass clippings, coffee grounds, and paper filters. Browns are carbon-rich items, like egg cartons and dry twigs and leaves. They're normally dry. You want to stay away from meats, dairy products, oils, and cooked food. These can be hard to break down in small composts, and they can attract pests, which nobody wants. Recycling can also be confusing. In Los Angeles, everything that can be recycled goes into the blue garbage bin. LA has diverted 76% of waste from the landfill through green and blue bins, and they have the largest curbside recycling program in the country. They collect an average of 800 tons of recyclables each day. A big issue in recycling, though, is contamination, which is when non-recyclables get put into the blue bin. This prevents the whole load that's been collected from being properly recycled. A major key to remember is that items have to be clean and dry in order to be recycled. Some examples of contaminated items that should go into the black garbage bin instead of the blue one include papers and plastics that have oils or food waste on them, window, mirror, and car glass, regular light bulbs, and ceramics. How we shop has an environmental impact. Buying your groceries in bulk helps avoid single-use packaging, and bringing your own reusable bags cuts down on plastic waste. But it's important to be conscious of the line between reusables and overconsumption. It's good to avoid single-use plastics, but it's also important not to overdo it on the reusables either. It can take up to 1,000 uses for a reusable mug to become more environmentally friendly than a disposable cup. This is possible, but it only works if you have just one reusable mug. Same deal for tote bags and water bottles. The bottom line, consume less and reuse more. You can have an impact. A lot of these kitchen swaps are affordable and pretty straightforward to implement. Climate change is one of the biggest issues facing our planet today, and it can be scary and overwhelming to even think about it, let alone take action. No one person can be the solution, and there isn't a silver bullet, but making these small changes does make a difference.
Carbon Check.